Hello. My name is Precious, and I'm going to be showing you how to take your body measurements. Very easy and straightforward. Before we start, I would like to admonish you to wear an appropriate underwear. Make sure your bra is your correct size, it's not sagging and it's not too tight. Also, avoid wearing something that is baggy or something that would add to your measurements. And I always recommend that you wear a sleeveless outfit. So here I'm just showing you how I look like at the back, and I'm just going to be demonstrating why the hollow of your back is very, very important. So the next thing you're going to do is take a cord, an elastic, anything that you have around you that can serve as a cord, and tie it around your waist. Now make sure it passes the deep part of your back, which is the hollow at your like when you turn to your back or when you bend slightly, you'll notice that there's a hollow there, and make sure this cord is straight across. Now, I didn't have a mirror to cross check this, so mine wasn't straight, but please make sure yours is straight across. Next, you are going to take your tape rule, and you can measure in inches or centimeters, but I prefer my clients measuring in centimeters, as there are some tape rules that differ in inches, and I wouldn't want any issues with that. So the next thing we're going to do is start taking the measurements. I've divided this measurement into 10 simple um part, so it's going to be very easy. First is your bust, taking it around the fullest part of your bust. Make sure you breathe in and out, and make sure there's at least a finger or two inside. Please, if you're very busty, make sure this measurement is a little loose so that it's not too tight on your bust. Now, the next you are going to measure is your waist, and you just measure around where you tie that elastic. So this is your natural waist, and that cord that we tied is just going to make sure we get the accurate measurement for your body. The next thing that we are going to do is measure the hip, and this is the third set of measurements that we are going to be taking. Now, if you are making ready to wear, these three measurements and one extra measurement is enough. But when you want something more fitted, contoured, then you go ahead and take the remaining measurements. So just notice the way I am taking the measurements. It passes the fullest part of my butt at the back, and the um curvy part of my hip at the side as well. That's one way. And the second method is to just take it up and down like I'm doing here. And by the time you do these two steps, you realize that the measurements are very, very similar. So for the first one, I go 41.25. The second one, I go 41.5 inches. Now, the fourth set of measurements are three measurements. So, and they can be taken together. So, and this is to make sure you get more fit for your clothes. So we have the chest measurements, which is just above the bust, like I'm measuring. Make sure it is firm. And the next one is the under bust, which is where your rib cage is. Again, please make sure you are wearing appropriate bra. Make sure it has a rib cage and it's pulling your bust to the right level. And then you're going to measure the abdomen. So this is especially important for people who have fupa or who have given birth before and have a little bit of tummy. So it will enable us to control that place very well. The next set of measurements is going to be from your waist downwards. So this is another importance of the elastic or cord that was tied around the waist. Now we need to find out your hip level, and you're just going to place your tape where the elastic is, and you can measure your hip again to find out where your hip line is, and then you measure from the elastic to the point of your hip bone at the side. You can also just use your hand at the side to get that, and then from there you also measure your waist to knee, waist to floor, waist to ankle. If you have any desired length that you want, it's also important to add it to this set of measurements. Again, you can just take these measurements at once and write them down. So the next set of measurements is your chest, and this would enable you to be able to move your arms properly. All those dresses that you wear, and for some reason you can't raise your arms. They are very beautiful, but you can't still raise your hands. This is why this is the measurement that usually causes that issue. So you are going to notice that there's a mark that starts wherever you drop your arm that joins your arm to your body. So you are measuring from one point to the other. That mark just on directly after your arm, your under your armpit. That's where you're going to be measuring, and it's going to look like this. So I'm going to turn to the back and show you how I measure the back. So it's the same thing. When you place your hands down, you notice a very small mark where your hands joins to the your body, and you're just going to measure from one end to the other. Now this is a little bit tricky, and as you can see, it was very, very a little tricky for me. So make sure you breathe in and out, and cross check this measurement. So that is for the chest width and the back width. All right, so the next measurement is your nip to waist. Now, this will determine whether you are tall, you're medium height, or you're a little bit more petite. Okay, so please bend your neck forward, and then you're going to notice a sharp bone that comes out. Place your tape rule at that bone, and then adjust your head to a natural position. And you're just going to measure from where you place the tape rule down to the elastic. That's the deeper part of your back at the that we tie the elastic in the hollow, the deep part of your back, that hollow that I was talking about. This, or again, this establishes your height. So please, it's very important for us. So the next set of measurements can also be taken at once. Don't be scared by the number. It can be taken at once. So you just need to find the highest point. That's where the neck joins to the shoulder, and you are going to measure this all in one go. Measure your shoulder to chest. That is directly above your bust. The next one is your shoulder to bust, and make sure that it is passing over the fullest part of your bust like that. Your shoulder to bust there. And then the next thing you measure is your shoulder to under bust. That's, exactly the way I'm placing my tape roll directly to the under bust. And this is very important measurement. So you might need to cross check it again. So this is another way I cross check it. And I place my hand under the at the under bust. So then your shoulder to waist, make sure it is straight like this, and make sure it is passing over the bust, please. And then remember where we took the abdomen. So that can be shoulder to skirt waist or shoulder to abdomen. And then you are going to measure that level as well. And then finally, you are going to find your hip bone again and then measure your shoulder to hip. This is your hip level. Okay, so again, you can take that measurement in one go. You can have someone writing the measurements down for you, or so it's a lot easier. So the next thing we're going to be taking is our shoulder length. So from that part that joins your neck to your shoulder, you're just going to measure along like that, and then you are going to just find the bone that from the mark that we took for the chest width all the way up, and then that's where you stop your measurements. There are standards for this, but please, it's important for us to, in case you have a broad shoulder. So from that shoulder bone that we are talking about, you are also going to place your tape rule, and we need to find out how long your hand is. Again, this will determine whether you are medium height, whether you're a little petite or you are tall. So just place your tape rule like this, and then you're going to measure from the shoulder to the elbow. That will be your elbow length, and then the arm length will be your shoulder to your wrist. Now, the last set of measurements, final measurement, and this is going to be to determine the how thick your hand is. So firstly, you're going to start with your armhole. So look at the way I'm taking my measurements. Make sure when you put your hands down, it's not too tight. You can adjust this, over time to get the right value. And then you move on to your bicep or top arm. And please notice where I'm taking it. And this has to be firm but not too tight. Okay, so take that measurement with your hand still on your elbow, and then you are going to move on to your elbow, and with your hand still on your waist rather, you're going to move on to your elbow measurement, and with your hand still like this, please make sure it is firm and tight for this measurement. And then you are going to take your wrist measurement. You can decide to release your hand at this point and measure your wrist here. So now if you want to make an outfit that you can put your hand through, please make sure you also measure your around hand, which is what I'm doing. Just fold your hands like that and then measure there. So again, that is all that you need to take. And please note that the fit of your dress is determined by how accurate you take this measurement. Thank